Hello and welcome from Dallas, Texas. Ordinarily, I'm kicking it up north in New York City, but I have been brought to this beautiful Texan city for a business trip this past week. And so, like in New York, being in Texas, the commonality is that we always need coffee, and preferably good coffee. So how does one make coffee on the go, especially when you have to hop on a flight? Obviously, you can't bring a full pour-over set. Obviously, you can't bring a full pour-over set in your suitcase, or you could, but it's just not going to be as efficient unless you're very, very good at Tetris. So, in my opinion, the best travel coffee brewer is this guy, the aeropress. And the why I say it's the best because it's plastic, it's durable, it's 3 easy pieces, and it's very versatile. So it can make all sorts of types of coffee, and it fits in a personal bag, in a carry-on, or you can just zip it up and just throw it in your luggage and check it and not worry about it if it gets banged around, because it's incredibly durable, incredibly size efficient, and just makes a very, very great cup of coffee. So kind of diving in to why the aeropress is so great and why it's really great for travel is that it really breaks down into this one single unit, but it's really divided into 3 different elements. One, you have a little filter cap right here, which you'll insert either a paper or a metal filter. Metal filter will obviously be best for traveling because you can pack that down, wash it, and reuse it. Sadly, I'm not that forward yet and still using some paper filters that obviously pack down still pretty nicely. So then the second piece is the plunger. This is what is used to press the coffee through this chamber that should have numbers 1 through 4 on it. So it's really just 3 easy pieces that, again, combine into this one awesome mega coffee maker that fits anywhere you need it to. Also, the kit does come with this little plastic stir that's about the size of maybe like 2 credit cards, which again can be substituted for a spoon or really anything that can just stir the chamber, so this is optional. So obviously, to have a coffee maker, you obviously need to have coffee, which I have a partially filled bag, so that way you can, again, squish it down for travel. And if you're only going to be gone a few days, you could pre-grind before you leave, so that way you don't need to worry about bringing a grinder. Yes, it will oxidize and lose a little bit of flavor, but as far as running and gunning and travel coffee, it should be just fine. But because I am extra like that, I in fact did bring my Hario hand grinder, but again, it still packs down very nicely, and it with accommodated amount of space should be just fine. And of course, I brought my scale, which again, you don't need to bring this, but for consistency and accuracy, always the scale will make a huge difference. But in the spirit of today's roughing it, running and gunning it coffee experience, we're going to be doing everything by eyes and ears and hands. So some of you might be wondering, well, Jarod, we have the coffee and the brewer, but where's the water? Where's the kettle? Well, in this sense, we're going to be enlisting the help of an unsuspecting ally, the Keurig. And I know some of you might be, scratching your heads or, wondering how the heck we're going to use this to help us. But the beautiful thing about the Keurig is that if you don't load it with a pod, it'll just heat the water and run it through the spout. So you can easily get a cup of, relatively hot brewing temperature water that we can then use with the aeropress. While we're waiting for our water to heat up, I've gone ahead and ground 30 grams of coffee. And so we'll just kind of set that to the side for now as we prepare our aeropress for the brewing process. So basically, the orientation is you have the bottom, which has the filter cap, and then the top of the brewer, which is right here, which will insert the plunger as such. Pull up to create a seal. This is essential for really pressing the coffee and water together. Since we create that seal, you have it all connected and built. And so what we're going to be doing is we're actually be using what's called the inverted method. And all that means is we're going to take it, turn it upside down. So that way the filter cap is on top and the tip of the top of the plunger is now the base. And you'll know you have it correct when the numbers are upside down. So 4, 3, 2, 1. And so now that we have this set up, we can take off the filter cap, and we're going to put the coffee in the top. And then what this allows us to do is allows the coffee and the water to really seep and blend together and getting that prime extraction, sort of like a French press. Now that we have our hot water in our nice travel mug from Ugly Duck Coffee Roasters out in Rochester, New York, we are now ready to begin the brewing process. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to just go ahead and pre-rinse your filter if you're using a paper filter, and if you're using a metal filter, just want to wash away anything that may have gotten in there or whatever. And then at the same time, you're going to preheat your aeropress. So I've gone ahead and done that already. So now we're going to add our coffee into the press like so. Try not to spill any of it anywhere, but once we have added our coffee, so our grinder to the side, make sure it's nice and flat. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to add about 2/3 of our water into the aeropress. So that will take us to about, the 3.5 mark, counting up from the bottom. So we're just going to go ahead and add, there we go, add about there. Actually, no, I take that back. We're going to go to the 2.5. I'm so used to using the standard method. So here we go. So now we're going to stir our aeropress just like this. And then now we're going to start a timer for 30 seconds. And we're going to let it bloom. Alright, so now that we're 30 seconds into the bloom, we're going to get ready for our second stir. And at the top of the AeroPress, you should see a crust start to form. We're just going to give it another stir. It's going to be nice and thick, viscous, this little slurry of coffee and water. So give a little bit of a stir. And now we're going to set our stir stick off to the side, and now we're going to add the rest of our water. Fill her up. And then we're going to add the filter cap, and we're going to let it sit for another 20 seconds. On a time standpoint, we're going to be adding our water, blooming for 30 seconds, pouring the rest of our water, and letting it sit to about 1:05. And then once it hits 1:05, then we're going to flip this bad boy over, and we're going to start to press. This is a very stressful time. Always put the cup on top, so when you flip, it doesn't accidentally pour all of our hard-earned and worked-for coffee everywhere. So apply firm and steady pressure and press the coffee into the cup. I like to have two hands, not because it's difficult, but just because it gives you more control. And just really focus on keeping the pressure nice and even. Also, it's a good micro workout. And then as we get close to the end, you're going to press until you hear it start to fizzle out. You hear the air pressure just being released. That's what we're going for. And then, voila, set this to the side. You have a nice brewed cup of coffee. Pour it into our travel mug. And then the thing about AeroPress coffee is that's very, very strong. So basically you could drink it as is, and it'll be a very full-bodied, very intense cup of coffee. Or you could elect to add hot water to taste to help kind of balance it out and treat it more and drink it more like a standard poured cup of coffee, drip, French pressed, however you will. But essentially that is the AeroPress. We're locked and loaded. We're ready to go. And it's time to head to work, baby. If you enjoyed this video, please click the like button. It really does help me out so much. And leave your feedback in below. And at the same time, I'm relatively new to the AeroPress game, so if you have any good recipes, please share. I would love to check it out. And again, subscribe for more. Thanks, and until next time, peace.